Huchina as our astrology fractal in this trio. I have a question. There's been a lot of chatter going around about this rare planetary alignment that we are entering today, July 15th. That's a question, I'm not sure. But some kind of basket. Anyways, I am quite naive to all of this, and I was wondering if you had any insight, any suggestions, any thoughts about what this is that we are entering and what it will do for us as humanity, as individuals, anything that's on your mind about this.
Yeah, I would love to say more about that. Yeah, so when we are about, depends on, your who's taught you, but when we're about like 2 or 3 degrees away from exactitude, it means that we're sort of approaching and entering the the experience of the transit, and in this case, the basket. So everyone feels things differently. So some people might not. Some people might feel it before 3 degrees or 2 degrees, and then it becomes exact. I think it's either on July 18th or 19th when each of these four outer planets are forming these a lot of harmonious aspects with each other, at 4 degrees of four different signs, which are Cancer, Aquarius, uh, Aries, and Leo. Um, my feeling about transits is that you kind of have to live through them. Like we could say like it's going to mean this, it's going to mean that, but I think the best person to know what it is ourselves and our experience as we're in it. Um, and and that's how I like to approach astrology versus like kind of telling someone what it will be. Again, it is kind of like the aspects in astrology are harmonious, so um, seemingly it might be bring some like benevolence into our lives, but I guess we'll find out. And then some astrologers say like, yes, this transit comes into exactitude on these certain dates, but um some people say that we'll feel the setup for years to come. Like, the outer planets move really, really, really slowly. um so they'll be within these degrees of each other for a bit of time. Although Jupiter moves quite fast and will kind of leave, but we'll be left with this three outer planets that'll be in a pretty tight formation for a while. Um, and I've heard like the number 3 years tossed around. So really, um, it's about tracking yourself and um, maybe working with an astrologer to see like where those planets fall exactly in your chart, because it'll mean something different for everyone, because they'll fall, you know our charts are set up so that the planets will fall for everyone in like a different place depending on when we were born. So I think it's like best to kind of actually take a look for yourself where it's happening and what houses all these planets are happening, and maybe like talk to someone who can sort of specifically tell you this house, this house, this house, and like what planets it touches in your chart, and like what that means for or what it could possibly mean for you. But we have to obviously live the experience. um so yeah.
A lot of the astrologers on social media are saying that this is going to be a pivotal point in evolutionary pivot for humanity. Is that something that you also agree with and see within this event that we're coming to, or is that not even anything that you want to think about or put out there until it is lived through?
I guess to answer your question, it's um I, the application of astrology, I think, is as varied as like, as there are practitioners. Um, and in terms of the way, like the paradigm that I live in within astrology is, I like to see astrology as it's a it's a living thing. So it's astrology, I think, is created through the experience of what happens when my consciousness considers this cycle and environment and um, and body that I'm living in. What happens when when these all come together, and I'm tracking them in an intentional way, because astrology lives in nature. I don't think it's in just in planets. Planets are part of astrology, and impacts the way that our environment is in the moment. Um, but I feel that like we live the experience by being in the present and seeing what unfolds, by paying attention to nature, because that's where I think, and paying attention to our body, because that's where astrology lives, in the meeting of all those things. Um, Now, other astrologers talking about this as a big shift that is about to occur. I think that's awesome. Like I love hearing about that, um considering like what could be possible, right? But I'm just not applying astrology that way personally, and and in my work with clients, meaning I'm not trying to predict something for what could happen. But I am really excited about what people are saying, and sure, like, how do I say this? Like the outer planets, which are involved in this configuration, um, those planets, they're called outer planets. So we also have personal planets, which are like Mars, Venus, the Moon, the Sun. But the outer planets are more about the collective consciousness, and higher consciousnesses. I don't think that that's the right way to say that, plural. Um, but and so of course something will shift there, I think, because these are harmonious aspects. So we have trines and sextiles, and there's one opposition too, which is more a dynamic aspect. And so what, in my like astrology studies, harmonious aspects are something that we have to lean into. Like we could easily miss them. So we have choice and free will in this as well. So do I choose to, in the next few days, harness the energy of these planets, the higher octaves, and the the benevolent aspects of these planets? Or do I choose to lean into more shadow material and spiraling out, and being like, the world sucks and everything's terrible, and I don't want to like minimize that horrible things are happening. That's true. Um, but how do we live in relationship to difficulty? And how do I choose to continue to how do I say this without, I really don't want to minimize like that there's horrible shit happening, but how do I choose to be in relationship to what's difficult in a way that is still caring for me and for like my community and the people around me? Because this whole thing opened up with a new moon in Cancer. Like the new moon in Cancer is preceding this thing, and Cancer is all about nurturing. It's when Cancer is the moment where we come into our body and feel everything without labels or meaning making. We just like let ourselves be in the emotional uh, tidal waves or tides or storm or calm, nice weather. Um, and so I think that's a really beautiful way to move into this um, powerful aspect, is like, how do I stay embodied and feel my way through this, rather than creating stories about it, negative stories about it. Um, and how do I keep aligning myself to like higher states of consciousness, or um, what brings me health. And I think that that is done by like being in the here and now and being present to what is, and letting yourself be in the unfolding moment. I feel like I am rambling, so I'm going to stop and hope some of that made sense.